Hey there, this is Simon, head coach and founder of the New Body Formula. Now today I want to talk to you about a key concept when it comes to fat loss, and that is how many carbohydrates should I be eating? Now carbohydrates can be a troublesome topic for so many because, as you know, when you eat carbs you're going to be releasing the hormone insulin. And when people hear that word insulin, they tend to think immediately fat storage, right? It's the fat storing hormone. Now what they don't necessarily think or understand is it's also a muscle building hormone. Okay, so insulin can be your best friend in terms of building your muscle and your worst enemy in terms of making you store fat. Now you don't really want to go too low in carbohydrate intake because if you do, you're going to be sacrificing muscle mass, okay? And if you go too high in carbohydrate, you're going to slow your fat loss results and most likely store more fat. Now all of us are a little bit different, right? So the amount of carbohydrates you need to maintain energy, build muscle, but not store fat is going to be different to everybody else. Now that can be confusing because you might see other people who eat tons and tons of carbohydrates, they're training, they're getting great results, but when you eat the same amount of carbohydrates, you tend to store fat and get no results. Now to start getting results for you, you need to know how to manipulate it. Okay, so the first thing you need to understand is the amount of carbohydrates you should be eating. The next thing is the type of carbohydrates you should be eating. And the third thing is carbohydrate timing. Okay, when should you be eating those carbohydrates? Now this is going to be different for you, right? Your metabolism gets results where it gets results. So I can give you a beginning point. Most of my clients, I start between 5 bites and 15 bites of starchy carbohydrates at each major meal. Okay, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So what that comes down to is experimenting with that. Okay, that is the process. Some people can do more and others will have to go less. Okay, this works really well because you can't see the amount of carbohydrates you're eating, right? So it's an easy concept for people to understand. Now, if the concept of bites does confuse you, equate 1 bite to 5 grams of carbohydrates. For fat loss, okay, start around 10 bites of carbohydrates at the 3 major meals. Starchy carbohydrates tend to have no fiber in them, right? Things like breads, rice, and potatoes. So you then monitor your fat loss and your hunger, your craving, and your energy levels and adjust accordingly. So that takes care of the amount, okay? So it's not really black and white. You really need to work the process. Next is the type of carbohydrate. So most people interested in health and fat loss understand GI, right? The glycemic index. There are foods that come into your body that deliver a lot of blood sugar really quickly and others that do it more slowly. So those that are fast are high GI and those that are slow release are low GI foods. The low glycemic foods are the ones that you really want to stick with. The reason they're far superior is they have a lot of fiber in them and not a whole lot of sugar. So they're the ones that you really want to be focusing on, okay? Now, breads tend to be allergenic to a lot of people because of the protein gluten in it. Low allergenic, hypoallergenic carbohydrates, things like rice, white potato, sweet potato, banana, high glucose fruit, and oats. Now, if you're celiac, you can get a reaction, but most people will tolerate those foods really, really well. So the last piece of this is carbohydrate timing. Okay, so you need to understand carbs are important for regulating hunger. If you're on a low carb diet, you can use carbs to shut off hunger. Okay, so carbohydrates will release insulin, which will have an effect on what's called the leptin curve, okay, which really determines how hungry you are from day to day. So if you eat your carbohydrates in the AM and no other time during the day, you'll tend to shut off hunger at night time. And if you load your carbohydrates at night and eat them at any time during the day, that will decrease your hunger in the morning. The other thing nighttime carbohydrates eating will do, it will really help you sleep if you suffer from insomnia. You know, one of the major contributors to insomnia has to do with blood sugar fluctuations, which keeps you up at night or makes you wake up at night. So those two things are really, really important. Important as well is after your workout, yeah? You're gonna be uniquely insulin sensitive after your workout, especially if you're doing high intensity resistance-based exercise. So timing is the other piece, all right? And there is a bit of a magic window between right after and up to about 3 hours after your workout, where carbohydrate intake can help you build muscle rather than store fat. So you need to find, number one, what is the proper amount for you to hold on to and build muscle? Number two, what is the proper types of carbohydrates that you should be using? And number three, and then testing your carbohydrate timing. So this is one of the most important things that you can do to have high energy for your training, to maintain muscle and control your cravings and also your hunger levels. And make this a results-based lifestyle. Okay, so play around with that. Let me know how you get on. I'd love to hear from you guys, and we'll chat soon.